Hey, this is video number 2, and we're talking about depression. Not the best subject to be talking about. In fact, the word actually doesn't sound too bad, or does it? Depression. Depression, pressure, pression. Moves from the outside to the inside. I believe it has to do, it gets into your mind. As I mentioned in the first video, it's an open door. It's a door, right? Sometimes we can see that door. And there's times that we don't see the door and we blast right through. That door, once it's open, you're stepping into a new state. And what goes on outside of us can easily become a part of our lives. That's the truth. The problems that are outside of us can easily become a part of us. Depression robs you of your energy. It robs you of your joy. It robs you of who you can be. It puts you into a state of darkness where you don't really want to be around people. You want to be alone. And what happens when you become depressed, you do stupid things. You do foolish things, because one sin can lead to other sins. Not in all cases do people that are depressed make foolish decisions. Not in all cases, but it's more of the time than less of the time. People that are depressed can get out of depression. They can get help. They can understand what you can get sick and tired of being sick and tired and get out of yourself. Depression is not a good thing, period. Any way you look at it, physically, medically, horizontally, vertically, however you want to look at depression, it is not a good thing. Would you agree with me on that? As I inspire and motivate myself, I'll be able to help you move yourself away from that situation that you're in. Now, I'm not going to go over the material that I went on in the first video. I left off on how can you prevent it from happening to you. My experiences were really horrible. I come from a background of trauma. I come from fear. I had this fear of man, and it was because of the stuff that I had went through between not only my father, but there was other men figures within my family that were not, they didn't leave a good example. They didn't lead by good examples. So younger, in fact, I didn't even know who I was up until a couple of years ago. I knew I was stuck with problem gambling. I had other addictions going on in my life. I had traumas that I was dealing with that I wasn't even aware of. There was times where I was so, I remember 7, 8, 9 years ago, I used to go see at the Veterans Hospital. I used to go see doctors. And then after a while, the doctors kept getting less and less. And then eventually the doctors would tell me, Santos, you really don't need to be here. Sounds like you're doing very good for yourself these days. I worked myself, and I told them what was I doing. I was doing videos. I was doing a lot of journaling. I was reading a little bit more. I was experimenting with self-talk. I would get in front of the mirror. I was doing things to get myself out of that situation, out of that state. In other words, I was opening up other doors to step into another state. Is what it was. I guess that would be the perfect analogy. You open one door and you bring depression into your life. While you're there, hopefully, you'll be able to open other doors. Maybe for some reason, something happens to you. Somebody comes to your aid. God sends help your way. And that's how I was able to continually maintain, and I still work on myself. I'm not going to say that, just like temptation and all of these things, just because I'm no longer gambling doesn't mean that I don't get tempted. Doesn't mean, of course you're going to have a bad day. Of course you're going to have a bad relationship. Of course you're going to have something happen beyond your control. And then again, you're going to make decisions. We want to make better decisions versus making poor decisions, right? Poor decisions, gambling, making poor decisions is going to lead you into a state of depression. Can you prevent it from happening to you? Just like anything about you understand how it works against you, and you simply work against it. So we have to work against depression, right? We understand how it can work against us. We need to work against depression. How do you do that? How do you work against depression? Well, I've just mentioned quite a few life hacks that I use on myself. And you can get very creative. You can get very resourceful with yourself. Sometimes you need to get professional help, just like I did. All right, I'm not here. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychiatrist. I consider myself a life coach with experience. That's how I know that I can help you or anybody else. Because if I've been through it, I surely be able to help you, as long as I'm maintaining myself out of it. Right? Keep the door closed at all times if possible. Keep the door closed at all times if possible. Right? Avoid making poor choices. And only grieve when it's necessary. Santos, what do you mean? Well, depression is a sadness. Depression is a grieving, is a form of it. Grieve and allow yourself to be depressed when it's necessary. When you grieve, when there's a loss, when you know. I don't have to tell you. You know when you should allow these things in your life, and you know when you shouldn't allow these things in your life. It's really about a decision. Daily recognition, being aware, right? Becoming more consciously aware, following a good plan, one good plan, and analyzing. I'm going to go over this again real quick. It's really about a decision, a daily decision, a daily recognition, being aware, becoming more conscious aware of what's going on inside here and what's going on around you. You got to have a plan, a good one, and analyzing. Here's my call to action. I'm going to end here because this is a lengthy video. All right. My call to action is right now, right here. Make a decision on something you plan to do over the next 30 days to help you prevent depression. Set something else, set something up right here for the next 30 days, and then follow that plan. That's going to help you. And you know what you can do. That's going to help you. I'll see you at the top on the inside on my very next one, my friend. I salute you. And remember to make every day super fantastic, terrific, and over the top. In spite of and because of. Remember to share, comment, subscribe, and leave a comment. Make a difference.